Peng Liyuan once had the following exchange in an early talk-style program. Peng Liyuan said, "I feel that I am forever in a subordinate position. I myself feel like it might be because the education I received from childhood was different." The host said, "But other people introduce you to others all day long saying, hey, you know what? His wife is Peng Liyuan." Peng Liyuan said, "That wouldn't happen. That depends on what kind of person you marry." Suppose you marry someone who's successful in his career, someone with grand ambitions, someone who is highly capable, someone who can handle you, then they won't say it like that. In modern Chinese history, only Sun Qingling was ever called the mother of the nation. Besides the reason that Sun Yat-sen was called the father of the nation, it was also because of Sun Qingling's own temperament and her performance on the political stage. Among the wives of successive leaders after the CCP founded the state, Jiang Qing was somewhat clawing and aggressive in politics, and for quite a long period of time, she was also restricted from participating in political activities. Deng Xiaoping's and Jiang Zemin's wives had fairly ordinary public images and appeared relatively rarely on the political stage. Hu Jintao's wife, Liu Yongqing, had a decent image, but her personality was more introverted and her diplomatic ability was average. Only Xi Jinping's wife, Peng Liyuan, has a dignified, luxurious aura, and she also frequently shines in the diplomatic arena. Although the outside world is deeply divided in its evaluation of Xi Jinping, Peng Liyuan is still praised by many people, and many netizens jokingly call her China's new generation mother of the nation. Today, we will try to reconstruct the real state of Peng Liyuan and Xi Jinping's marriage, analyse her role in Xi Jinping's rise to power, her hexagonal personality, and her 2 life regrets. Today's program will let you get to know a real Peng Liyuan. Peng Liyuan was born in November 1962. A typical Scorpio, her hometown is Pengzhuang village in Yuncheng County, Shandong province, not far from the hometown of Empress Lu of the Han dynasty. This village is said to have been called Phoenix Village more than 100 years ago. A feng shui master said an empress would emerge from it, though this is probably a far-fetched story attached after Peng Liyuan became famous. Peng Liyuan's father was named Peng Longkun. Through his own efforts, he had already left the village and become the director of the county cultural centre, and he also married the lead actress of a Yuju opera troupe, having a pair of sisters and 1 son. During the Cultural Revolution, Peng Longkun was labelled an anti-party element, locked into a cowshed and forced into labour. Peng Liyuan's mother was also driven off the stage because she had a younger brother who had fled to Taiwan. This period also became the darkest time for the Peng family. After the Cultural Revolution ended, Peng Longkun and his wife resumed their work, and the whole family returned to a moderately well-off life in the county town. The first benefactors in Peng Liyuan's life were her parents. Her mother's artistic talent was fully inherited by little Lili. At age 3, she could sing long passages of songs, and at age 5, she could go on stage to sing lengthy sections of Shandong Bangzi. Her father also keenly recognised her gift, overcame difficulties, and helped his daughter choose the path of art. Peng Liyuan's second life benefactor was teacher Gao Chengben of Yuncheng No 1 High School. As the school's only music teacher, Teacher Gao taught Peng Liyuan the basics of music theory and vocalization, starting from reading notation, and then recommended Peng to Yang Songshan, known as the Prince of Shandong folk music. This helped Peng open up a new life. Peng Liyuan's third life benefactor was teacher Wang Yingxuan of the secondary division of Shandong 57 Art School, who helped Peng Liyuan embark on the road of nationalizing vocal music. Under teacher Wang's guidance, Peng Liyuan became famous in the capital through a national ethnic and folk singing competition. And because of this, she was recruited by the Jinan military region's Qianwei Song and Dance Troupe, putting on a military uniform. During this period, she appeared on the CCTV Spring Festival Gala stage for the first time, performing songs such as I Love the Snow of the Northern Frontier and On the Fields of Hope, and from then on she became widely known to audiences nationwide. Young Peng Liyuan did not stop there. She continued to perform while also pursuing further study. In early 1981, Peng Liyuan went to Guangzhou to participate in the Yangcheng concert. Li Ling, the president of the China Conservatory of Music, Zhudong came over to greet her and invited Peng to study at their school. He also specifically went to Shandong and negotiated on multiple fronts, enabling Peng Liyuan to begin her course of study at the China Conservatory of Music. Many years later, Peng Liyuan wrote in a letter that she would never forget teacher Li's discerning patronage. At the conservatory, Peng Liyuan studied under Jin Tielin and became China's first vocal music master's graduate. During this time, Peng Liyuan was also transferred into the General Political Department's song and dance troupe and successfully made it to Beijing. It can be said that before 1987, Peng Liyuan's life was relatively simple: studying, performing, competing, continuously grinding and leveling up, and eventually becoming a household name singer. She not only had extraordinary singing talent, but was also extremely hardworking, and her luck was also very good, constantly encountering her benefactors and patrons who helped her move from a small county town to the national stage. Of course, this was also related to the environment of that era. When reform and opening had just begun, there was a scarcity of vocal music talent nationwide. Competition was not intense, and social strata had not yet solidified. It was easy to stand out. When you work hard to a certain point, luck will meet you unexpectedly. At the end of 1986, 4-year-old Peng Liyuan was introduced by a friend to attend a blind date. The other party was far away in Xiamen, 9 years older than her, and had been divorced. Peng Liyuan originally did not want to meet, but later, unable to refuse the friend's insistence, she went anyway, thus began the blind date that influenced Chinese history. After meeting, this older man fell in love with Peng Liyuan at first sight, and Peng Liyuan unexpectedly was also attracted to him. The two soon began dating and married in September of the following year. This was originally a marriage that was not looked upon favourably. Peng Liyuan's parents did not agree because they worried that the many rules of a high cadre family would make their daughter suffer. Xi Jinping's eldest sister also disliked this rustic Shandong girl. Even though she was a female star, for Peng Liyuan, this was from the start a long-distance relationship. And the other party was also an older divorced man. His father had already fallen out of favour in officialdom and could not provide any substantive help to his career. But compared with social status, values seem more important for marriage. Xi Jinping and his ex-wife Kerling Ling were indeed well matched in terms of status, but their values were worlds apart. After marriage, they argued every day and eventually went their separate ways. Peng Liyuan and Xi Jinping, although they came from completely different families and had completely different growth paths, had highly aligned values. At their core, they were the same type of people. They believed in the party and the system. They desperately longed for success within the system, and they were willing to endure and sacrifice for success. Deep down, Peng Liyuan had a strong father complex. After she entered Big Beijing, her father could no longer provide her with further guidance, and Xi Jinping substituted into that role, conquering this then already nationally famous diva. After the two married, Peng Liyuan was still in a rising phase of her career. She did not give up her own career for Xi Jinping, and she continued the intense life of studying while performing. Xi Jinping, in the second year, was transferred to Ningde, the most underdeveloped region of Fujian province, where transportation was extremely backward. For Peng Liyuan, one round trip between Beijing and Ningde took dozens of hours. Sometimes she had just arrived in Ningde when she would get a phone call ordering her back to perform. The two were long separated and seldom together, becoming a long-distance couple. This situation did not change even when Xi Jinping later governed Fuzhou. Peng Liyuan still refused to reside in Fuzhou long-term and continued her artistic life. In 1990 alone, Peng Liyuan held multiple large concerts successively in Beijing, Shanghai, and Singapore, and she also performed in dozens of countries. Meanwhile, the power of the Fuzhou Municipal Party Secretary far exceeded that of the Ningde Municipal Party Secretary. With normal male needs and the romantic family genes, Secretary Xi soon had other women around him as well, such as the famous host Meng Shui, rumoured in the Jianghu. Their marriage encountered an unprecedented crisis, at one point reaching the brink of divorce. Fortunately, their child had already been born in 1992, and divorce would have caused enormous damage to both people, who were then at critical points in their careers. Under the mediation of family members, the two could only muddle through and stay together. In 2003, Xi Jinping began governing Zhejiang, and their daughter Muzi also transferred to a school in Hangzhou. To help care for the child, Peng Liyuan's parents moved to Hangzhou to live together with their son-in-law. Peng Liyuan also realised the importance of her husband's career, began to treat Hangzhou as her long-term base. and gradually began to plan her artistic career around her husband, helping him maintain certain high-level relationships. Their marriage returned to a normal track again, like an ordinary family. A marriage requires one person's sacrifice. A marriage in which neither party is willing to give up is destined to head towards separation. Peng Liyuan became the one willing to give up. Aside from some large-scale and international performances, Peng Liyuan no longer participated in other performances. In most of the early development of Peng Liyuan's career, Xi Jinping did not actually provide any special help. In Peng Liyuan's self-driven struggle upward from the bottom, she honed extremely high emotional intelligence and skilled social abilities. And as a celebrity, she naturally had many advantages when interacting with others. Sometimes she even came with her own halo, because most Chinese people take pride in being friends with celebrities, and even state leaders are willing to deal with celebrities. Therefore, Peng Liyuan played a major role in helping Xi Jinping consolidate and expand relationships. One can refer to Zhao Wei and Huang Yulong in Brother Long's then wide-ranging social manoeuvring. Zhao Wei, as a celebrity wife, gave him tremendous help. Many high-ranking officials such as Sun Lajun and many big bosses such as Jack Ma and Wang Jianlin were all introduced by Zhao Wei to Huang Yulong. It can be said that Zhao Wei was Huang Yulong's chief public relations ambassador. In Xi Jinping's rise to power, Peng Liyuan mainly played 6 major roles. She helped Xi Jinping increase his impression score and favorability among ordinary people. It can be said that before 2007, Peng Liyuan's national recognition among the general public was far higher than Xi Jinping's. Peng Liyuan's good image accumulated over many years was a major plus for Xi Jinping, especially among many grassroots soldiers. Second, in Xi Jinping's public relations battles toward the party elders, Peng Liyuan rendered outstanding service. For example, at gatherings of the Jiang Zemin family, Peng Liyuan was a regular. Sometimes she sang solo, sometimes she accompanied the singing-loving old Jiang. As for Wang Yeping, Peng Liyuan often expressed warm concern. To be fair, Peng Liyuan was far more familiar with old Jiang than Song Zuying was. For another example, Peng Liyuan called Li Peng's wife godmother. She endured Li Shaolin's arrogance, calling Li Shaolin older sister again and again, and even introduced a match for Li Shaolin's daughter, Lanlin. Precisely because of this, Xi Jinping was regarded by Li Peng as one of their own. Another example, at arts galas organised by Zheng Qinghong's younger brother, Zheng Qinghai, Peng Liyuan always attended, giving Zheng Qinghai full face, even though she deeply disliked Zheng Qinghai. For Wen Jiabao, she would pull Xi Jinping along to dine with Wen's wife's white glove. Xi Jinping did not like talking, and at the table it was all her doing the conversational accompaniment. Third, because Peng Liyuan herself held the military rank of general, she was highly known within the military, was relatively familiar with many military leaders, and also helped Xi Jinping expand his military relationships, helping him understand many real situations within the military. Fourth, there were many Shandong compatriots in Beijing's political and military circles. Peng Liyuan helped Xi Jinping win over many people and provide him with services. For example, the later Deputy Minister of the Organization Department, Zhang Jianchun, who at the time was only a director of an appointments office within the Organization Department's cadre bureau. I and he and Peng Liyuan were fellow townsmen from the same county. This office is extremely critical, controlling the trends of cadre appointments nationwide, and at times can even attend Politburo Standing Committee meetings. Zhang Jianchun defected to Xi Jinping early, provided him with a lot of information, and in return later rose rapidly. Fifth, little known, is that Peng Liyuan was also a member on the periphery of the Tuan Pai, helping Xi Jinping win over friends as much as possible. Many people think the Tuan Pai are those who came out of the Communist Youth League Central Committee, but in fact the core members of the All China Youth Federation are also peripheral members of the Tuan Pai. Peng Liyuan became a standing committee member of the All China Youth Federation starting in 2000, and in 2005 she was elected vice chairperson of the All China Youth Federation. She often participated in youth federation activities and had deep feelings with them. At that time, the Youth League Central Committee Secretary Zhou Qiang always attached great importance to keeping in contact with Big Sister Peng. This was also the reason Zhou Qiang later, as a Tuan Pai figure, could be promoted to President of the Supreme People's Court. Sixth, and also very importantly, Peng Liyuan proactively gave up many unnecessary performances and did not go out fooling around. She restrained her younger brother, younger sister, and other family members, took good care of the child, did not let them go out and misbehave, and ensured the stability of the rear area. If you compare Bo Xilai's wife, Gu Kailai, and Ling Jihua's wife, Gu Laiping, you will understand they not only fooled around themselves, they also failed to watch over their children, planting the hidden danger of destruction for their husbands. After Xi Jinping became the designated successor, Peng Liyuan's positioning underwent a new change. Aside from some major political performances, she rarely appeared on stage. On the contrary, she began to appear in public as an image of a public welfare ambassador. With the help of then Vice Minister of Health, Yin Li, Peng Liyuan was appointed as a WHO Goodwill Ambassador for tuberculosis and HIV/AIDS prevention and control, and also as a tobacco control ambassador. And she was also granted by UNESCO the title of Special Envoy for promoting girls' and women's education. These ambassador titles became her new calling cards as First Lady. In Xi Jinping's pursuit of becoming a world leader, Peng Liyuan also stepped onto the diplomatic stage and began First Lady diplomacy. Her down-to-earth image, her interactions with foreign leaders' spouses, and her intentionally launched charitable activities were all widely praised by public opinion. Xi Jinping's image as head of state was disputed by various circles, but Peng Liyuan's role as First Lady became a new calling card of Chinese diplomacy. During this period, as the former head of the General Political Department's Song and Dance Troupe and the president of the PLA Academy of Art, Peng Liyuan personally led the 2016 reform of the military, cultural and performance troops, establishing a new PLA Cultural and Art Centre to unify leadership over the military's film, television and arts teams. She also served as a full-time member of the Central Military Commission's Cadre Evaluation Committee, holding enormous influence over the assessment and promotion of military cadres. As a complex political figure, Peng Liyuan is no longer a simple singer or a leader's spouse. She, in fact, has multiple faces. To truly understand her, one must understand these 6 faces. The identity Peng Liyuan cares about most is actually that of a singer. Many political matters were things she did for Xi Jinping, while what she herself strove for her whole life was still her singing career. Therefore, no matter how her political status rose, what she cared most about in her heart was still that little matter of singing. The highest artistic achievement of her life was not those songs sung everywhere, but rather The White-Haired Girl. In her early years, she claimed to be the representative of the 3rd generation of Xia, and later she also served as an artistic director for a restaging of The White-Haired Girl. In 2018, she publicly published a 10,000-character long essay, I and Xie, describing in detail her artistic path. Because her political identity prevented her from taking the stage to perform, this became her regret. She could only shift her experience behind the scenes, such as with the creation of The White-Haired Girl. And also in guiding students, she carefully mentored her doctoral student Lei Jia, letting the latter inherit her artistic mantle and continue her artistic career. In her official roles, what she valued most was still her positions as a council member of the China Musicians Association and vice chair of the China Opera Research Association, as well as her 5 part-time professorship titles. Among fame, power, and profit, the 3 most basic human drivers, what Peng Liyuan pursued throughout her life was fame. Power was only an accessory for assisting her husband's career. Profit for her could only rank 3rd. In an interview with Do Wentao, Peng Liyuan said, "Success is multifaceted. I think, as for my success, it's only that I am a person in the performing arts, or I am what is called a performing arts celebrity. Actually, I feel that for us, this kind of career is about becoming famous. The marker of our success is that you must become a celebrity. Through this clue, we can explain why Peng Liyuan in the first half of her life kept competing, pursuing further study, and performing, and in the second half of her life kept learning diplomacy for diplomacy. By contrast, regarding power, she was quite restrained and had not reached the point of greed. Apart from necessary diplomacy and coordination with Xi Jinping on military affairs, Peng Liyuan's participation on the political stage was not as much as imagined. In fact, there is no need to understand Peng Liyuan as something too lofty. Although she is high-ranking and powerful, in essence, she is still a woman who works in art. And even more, she is a woman with a strong competitive spirit and jealousy. In her early years at the China Conservatory of Music, in order to get the right to use a practice room, she once fought fiercely with a female classmate. Later, with Zheng Qingwai's support, Song Zuying gradually became the finale performer at major shows and became highly visible in the media. Peng Liyuan, instead, because of changes in her political identity, had to give up many performances. At that time, the person Peng Liyuan was most unconvinced by was Song Zuying, and the person she hated most was Zheng Qingwai. In 2003, Song Zuying was the first to hold a concert in Vienna. In 2006, Tan Jing also held a concert in Vienna. Peng Liyuan could no longer suppress her envy, jealousy, and resentment, and finally in 2008, she also went to Vienna to hold a concert. This was the comparison and rivalry among several women. It was no different from the comparisons in ordinary families. Peng Liyuan's hometown is in southwestern Shandong, very close to the hometown of Confucius and Mencius. She was also deeply influenced by Confucian and Mencian thought and held many traditional notions of women in southwestern Shandong. For example, women should do housework, women should serve their husbands, and women should sacrifice for the family. Before Xi Jinping entered Beijing, she still often went to the wet market to buy groceries and cook for her husband. She herself said, "I love buying groceries the most, cleaning the house, cooking baozi, dumplings yutiao. I can also make flatbreads. I stir fry all kinds of dishes. I feel I do them pretty well." In her early years, Peng Liyuan once expressed that she hoped there could be a week where she could sit at home, watch TV, do laundry, or buy cotton cloth and measure it herself and use a sewing machine to make a bedsheet. Although Xi Jinping also had other female confidantes, Peng Liyuan still maintained a near worshipful love for Xi Jinping. Especially after middle age, she sacrificed herself as much as possible to help her husband and avoided causing trouble for her husband as much as possible. For example, on cadre recommendations, on one hand, she knew old Xi lacked cadres, so she would recommend to him officials she felt were capable and could help her husband, such as Yin Li. On the other hand, she feared that her recommendations would bring trouble to her husband, so she used such power very restrainedly. It can be said that the cadres she recommended were far fewer than outside rumours claimed, and she was also unwilling to arbitrarily agree to many outside requests, precisely because she feared bringing trouble to her husband's career. Peng Liyuan is someone who knows gratitude. Toward the patrons in her life, she has always held gratitude in her heart. After entering the General Political Department's song and dance troupe, she still kept writing letters to a middle school teacher. "Teacher Gao, hello. It's been a long time since I wrote to you. Is your health still good? Is everything still good at the school? Although it has only been more than half a year since I returned home, I miss our Zucheng very much, our school and the teachers who nurtured my growth. Perhaps I can return home for 2 days during Spring Festival. If I return home, I will go visit you again." When commemorating the 100th anniversary of Li Ling's birth, she published an essay, "In memory of teacher Li Ling," toward old master Qiao Yu, who chose her to perform as Zia. She has also always expressed respect. On the other hand, Peng Liyuan is also someone with a strong sense of revenge. Before Xi Jinping took office, Li Xiaolin always acted superior toward him, arrogant and overbearing. After Xi Jinping took office, Peng Liyuan never met Li Xiaolin again. Li Xiaolin also knew well that she would never be able to resolve her vice ministerial rank for the rest of her life, and therefore at age 58 she proactively applied for early retirement. If in her early years Peng Liyuan could still maintain her original nature, then as power gradually increased, Peng Liyuan also gradually mutated into a political animal. She began to continuously disguise herself for politics, began to look down from above at those early friends, and began to consider and calculate matters like a political figure. She was no longer that simple female singer of the past. In 2024, many people began to discuss that Peng Liyuan might be elected as a Politburo member, and that in the future Xi Jinping might even hand power to Peng Liyuan, just like Mao Zedong and Jiang Qing back then. This is an erroneous prediction made by people who do not understand CCP politics and Peng Liyuan. The political environment of the CCP is already different from the Mao Zedong era. In Mao's era, a spouse entering politics was a convention. Many leaders' wives more or less held some party posts, and some even served as their husbands' office directors. At that time, most party members were near worshipful toward Mao, had no independent thought, media information was relatively blocked, and most party rules were broken, allowing Mao to appoint officials at will according to his own wishes. But today, although Xi Jinping already possesses power comparable to Mao Zedong, party rules have become more and more numerous, and many officials already have their own brains. Wantonly breaking rules will only damage the great leader's prestige. Moreover, Peng Liyuan's power and influence are already far greater than those of an ordinary Politburo member. There is no need to add another empty title. There is no benefit, and it would bring her bad names. Would they be that foolish? Furthermore, Peng Liyuan, in fact, is not as interested in politics as the outside world imagines. She is a woman from southwestern Shandong. Peng Liyuan and Xi Jinping have spent their whole lives busy with their own careers, and they did not directly participate much in their daughter's growth, missing many important occasions in their daughter's life. Peng Liyuan once said with deep guilt, "As a mother, I did not fulfill my responsibility. Many times I feel I have let my daughter down." For her husband and for art, she gave up the singing career she was obsessed with, gave up the stage she loved most. This also became her second life regret. So, no one's life is perfect, unless you adjust your mindset. Thank you for watching.